What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. NFL Week 1 was amazing. First and foremost, I knew my Indianapolis Colts were going to lose yet again. We seem to lose openers. We seem to have really bad starts of seasons. But look, we look at Jacksonville and realize they're going to win that division, and it starts with Trevor Lawrence. So shout out to Trevor Lawrence. He balled out. He does what he does. 241 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. ETN, 77 yards and a touchdown. Calvin Ridley balled out, over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Zay Jones balled out, 55 yards receiving and a touchdown. I'm looking at the Colts right now, and I'm realizing everything's on Anthony Richardson. He's just a rookie. I did see some good signs with him. Yes, he got hurt at the end of the game, just a little tweak. He'll be back. You know, he had 223 yards passing, a touchdown, and a pick. He also had 40 yards rushing and a touchdown. I think for Anthony Richardson and the Colts, it's like, you know, we're going to have to get over that hump, and we do need Jonathan Taylor back. I don't know what it is. I think Jim Irsay, you know, the man that he is all outside of football, you know, we have to realize his heart isn't in it. So I think, you know, Jonathan Taylor needs to go to Jim Irsay and says, hey, you need me. You know, without Jonathan Taylor, the Colts would be lucky to win 5 games this year. Lucky to win 5. That's kind of terrible, right? 5 games, dude. Like that's kind of just heartbreaking. It's depressing, you know, but the reality is for the Indianapolis Colts, we haven't been good since like 2010, you know, 2011, and then Peyton Manning, the great hope, you know, he was like the Pope in Indianapolis. Like, we looked up to Peyton Manning, dude. Like, ever since he left, it's been nothing but terribleness, dude. It's been just shitty, dude, all across the board. You know, we thought Andrew Luck was going to be the next savior. And when we drafted Andrew Luck in 2012, I said, that's a mistake. That is a big mistake. And everyone in Indy was like, oh, dude, no, Andrew Luck's the next Peyton Manning, dude. He has a great arm. Dude, dude, stop it. You know, we should have drafted Russell Wilson. We had a better shot then. He went in the 3rd round that year, which is crazy. But the Colts, they continue to lose. I'm not surprised. I got that right. That was probably the easiest pick all weekend. You know, betting against my team, which sucks, right? I'm using my mind and not my heart. That's what the difference is in sports betting. You got to use your mind. You cannot use your heart, because eventually you're going to end up losing a lot of money if you're going to continue to bet on your heart. But it's all Jacksonville, so shout out to the Jags. They ran through the Indianapolis Colts. And then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Minnesota Vikings. I picked the Vikings with 5 points. I thought for sure they would win. I was definitely a sucker on this one. I realized, look, you know, as long as Minnesota's going to keep trash Kirk Cousins, they're going to be trash all season. And do not be surprised if Justin Jefferson at the end of this year requests a trade and says, hey, I want out of here. I want a better quarterback. I don't want Kirk Cousins here. I just, you know, everybody kind of likes Kirk Cousins. I don't see why. Yes, he went to Michigan State. Yes, he didn't lose to Michigan when he was at Michigan State. But overall in the pros, dude, Kirk Cousins is a good second backup, dude. Like, he's just not that good. You know, I'd rather have Jimmy Garoppolo over Kirk Cousins, which isn't really saying much, right? It's sad, dude. It really is. Kirk Cousins, I mean, yes, he threw for 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, but you literally had the best wide receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson, who snapped off 150 yards, but yet you guys still lose to Tampa Bay without Tom Brady. You know, you got Baker Mayfield. Shout out to Baker Mayfield. Really played well. 173 yards and 2 tutties. Mike Evans, a touchdown. You know, and I'm looking at Minnesota and realizing, look, it's going to be the same year as last year. And as long as you guys keep Kirk Cousins, you're not going to really get over the hump. You got to trade Kirk Cousins, get a new quarterback, draft a quarterback, something that Minnesota needs to do. I mean, or you're going to just stay subpar. You have literally had the best receiver, dude, and yet you guys aren't even winning games you should win. This is just sad. It's really sad for Minnesota. I got that pick wrong. 45.5 was the over. It definitely hit the under. To me, I went with the over. I thought for sure it'd be more high scoring. But like I said, Kirk Cousins is the X factor here in this equation. He's the wink link in Minnesota. And not to mention they got rid of a couple of their defensive players from last year. Minnesota just, I don't know, the organization just is stupid because you're still keeping Kirk Cousins. It blows my mind. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens beating the Houston Texans. This was another easy pick. This and the Colts were definitely easy picks. It really was. You know, shout out to Lamar Jackson. Even though he really didn't have a good game, threw a pick. You know, had some of his, Zay Flowers, 78 yards receiving. OBJ had 2 receptions on 37 yards receiving. I mean, it really didn't show me much about Baltimore yet. Obviously, Baltimore's going to, have to make it to the playoffs and run deep with Lamar. And Lamar's going to have to stay healthy this year. He got paid this offseason, so there's no excuse for Lamar. It's just like, Lamar Jackson, you got to get over this, okay? Like, you got to get to the playoffs again and got to win a Super Bowl. I mean, you got Harbaugh. He won the Super Bowl back in 2013 with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, those guys. And the quarterback was Joe Flacco. Yes, Joe Flacco had one good season, and that was the season they won the Super Bowl. So shout out to Joe Flacco. Shout out to the Ravens. And the Texans, probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. C.J. Stroud, the rookie, his first start out of Ohio State, 242 yards passing, but really didn't show me that much. I mean, dude, it's mind-boggling. I mean, some of these teams are just terrible. Arizona, the Houston Texans, my Indianapolis Colts, those are probably the bottom 3 teams in the NFL right now where it's just like head-scratchers like, dang, are they even going to get any better in the next decade? Like, are they? Please inform me if they're going to get better. But shout out to the Ravens getting the job done. And then we have one of the biggest upsets all weekend, the Cleveland Browns beating the Cincinnati Bengals. I went heavy on the Bengals. I think 90% of people went heavy on the Bengals as well. Joe Flacco's coming back off the calf injury in training camp. I thought for sure they'd be in the groove. Joe Flacco only had 82 yards. Obviously, Joe Flacco's still hurt. I think Joe Flacco's just kind of hard-headed here where it's just like, hey, coach, I'm healthy. I want to play. I want to play the home opener. I want to do all these things, right? But at the end of the day, if you're really a smart coach, you're going to say, hey, Joe, you got hurt in the preseason. Let's sit out the first 2 games. I mean, we can afford that. We can afford 2 L's. That's fine. I want you 100%. I don't want you coming into this season in 2023 to 80% here. I just don't. You're Joe Flacco. You're one of the star quarterbacks in the league right now. You need to stay 100%. I just think the coach kind of fumbled the bag on this one, but shout out to the Browns. Deshaun Watson, 154 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. He's staying out of the massage parlor. He must have this offseason because he's on his P's and Q's right now. So shout out to Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb, 106 yards rushing. He's on my fantasy squad. Nick Chubb is a powerhouse. If you guys are doing fantasy football, definitely Nick Chubb is the go-to guy running back. I mean, right now he's the new Derrick Henry. I do think Derrick Henry is declining right now. But Nick Chubb, dude, I'm telling you, every week he's consistent, every single week, and he's consistent to touch 15 to 20 times a game, dude. So shout out to the Browns, shout out to Nick Chubb getting the job done, and it was just terrible time for Cincinnati Bengals. Looks like they just haven't played with each other in years. So hopefully they rebound from this. It's just the first game. I'm not really that worried. I do still believe the Cincinnati Bengals will bounce back and make the playoffs this year. But right now, it's just like, wow, dude, Joe Burrow, only 82 yards? Something's up. So shout out to the Cleveland Browns. And then we got the New Orleans Saints beating the Tennessee Titans. I picked the Saints in this matchup. This was another pick that I thought, hey, I'm betting on the better quarterback here, and that's Derek Carr. Derek Carr did what he does, 305 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. You know, you got Chris Olave, 112 yards rushing, 112 yards receiving for Chris Olave, which the Saints, that's what they do. Even though they won by 1, the Saints got the job done. And look, you know, the Tennessee Titans don't have a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill is still the same quarterback for years there. I thought for sure Tennessee would move on, but they haven't, dude. They just staying with him. He threw for 3 picks. I mean, dude, you're not going to win games with Ryan Tannehill. You're just not. I think the Tennessee Titans need to go and just trade him away. Like, dude, yeah, like, it's just silly, dude. Ryan Tannehill, he's trash, dude. He is absolutely trash. He's worse than Kirk Cousins. Just trash. Absolutely trash. So, shout out to New Orleans Saints getting the job done. And then we got the Atlanta Falcons beating the Atlanta Falcons beating the Carolina Panthers. Look, the Panthers, you know, they had Bryce Hall. Bryce Young, first career star in the NFL out of Alabama. Really some high expectations for Bryce Young. 146 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. Look, fresh in the league, your first game. I thought for sure he had, you know, really amped up and really just throw the ball down the field, but I was definitely wrong on this pick. You know, it's all Atlanta. They ran right through Carolina Panthers. It was one of those things where it's just like, you know, why did I even go Carolina? You know, I thought for sure Bryce Young would be more experienced right there. But, you know, hey, he's a rookie, fresh in the league. I'm not really worried about them yet. But we know that the Carolina Panthers will not make the playoffs this year. That's what we do know. Okay, but the Atlanta Falcons, they got a shot. Desmond Ridder, 115 yards passing and a touchdown. Did his thing out of Cincinnati. So I think Atlanta's growing with Desmond Ridder. They're investing, and they're believing in him. They're saying, hey, you're going to be our franchise quarterback right now. And I kind of like it right now, even though a lot of people are like, is Desmond Ridder really the guy? He's got the height, he's got the size, and he's got the arm. So I think, Atlanta's really going in the right direction right now. I really do. So shout out to Atlanta Falcons beating the Carolina Panthers, really in a kind of a blowout. And then we got the 49ers killing the Pittsburgh Steelers. They ran right through the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to Brock Purdy, 220 yards passing and 2 tutties. You got Christian McCaffrey. Hey, if Christian McCaffrey's on your fantasy team, you're just balling out every single week. He had 152 yards rushing in a tutty. Brandon Ayuk, he had 129 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. But the story of the day, even though the Pittsburgh Steelers lost, TJ Watt just balled out. 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 5 total tackles, 5 solo tackles, 5 quarterback hits. And on fantasy, my homie Matt Overfield, he had 31 fantasy points for TJ Watt, which is insane for a defender. Defender to get over 30 points in fantasy football is insane, dude. And TJ Watt did this weekend. It was insane. Like, I've never seen a defensive player score over 25, let alone 30. So TJ Watt was just balling out. But Pittsburgh right now, Kenny Pickett, a touchdown and 2 picks. Najee Harris was nowhere to be found. 31 yards rushing, that's it, dude. They locked him up. So I think the San Francisco 49ers are a huge threat to the Dallas Cowboys. Those two are the best teams in the NFL right now. San Francisco and Dallas Cowboys have the best defense by far in the NFL. So, shout out to the 49ers. They ran right through Pittsburgh, made them look really silly. I kind of feel bad for Pittsburgh Steelers fans and Mike Tomlin right now. It's kind of embarrassing. And I'm looking at, Kenny Pickett and saying, is he really the guy? Is he the guy? Are you guys really believe in this guy? So that's the big question. So shout out to the San Francisco 49ers getting the job done. And then we got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Washington Commanders. Commanders won. I picked them. 2 trash teams, 2 teams that will not make the playoffs this year. Sam Howell, he had 202 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. So shout out to Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders. They finished it out. Even though these teams are trash, it is what it is. So shout out to the Washington Commanders. And then we got the Las Vegas Raiders beating the Denver Broncos. Las Vegas Raiders, look, first I thought, for Denver, I thought Russell Wilson, this was his, breakout year from last year. It was just a terrible year. But I still went with the Las Vegas Raiders. I picked the Raiders. This was an easy pick for me. It was just like, how could I bet on Denver from the season they had last year? Yes, they got Coach Sean Payton, a great coach. But overall, it was just Russell Wilson just not the same anymore. I think he's way past his prime now. He hit that wall where it's just like, wow, dude, what happened? 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. But that's not like Russell Wilson. The old Russell Wilson had over 300 yards passing with 3 tutties at least a game. So to me, it was just like, wow. But, hey, the Raiders, Jimmy G, 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. It just... That's typical Jimmy G. He'll do some good things, and then he'll do some boneheaded plays, but they beat him. They beat Denver, but that's not really saying much. Denver, dude, really? With Russell Wilson, dude, he's washed up, dude. Russell Wilson, he got paid too much money in Denver, and he just kind of settled. The hunger's gone. You could say what you want about Russell. Yes, he might be a good man outside of football, but in the NFL, in the league that they're in, all they care about is how you perform. They don't care about what you say outside of the NFL, outside of the stadium. At the end of the day, it's how you perform inside that stadium. And right now, Russell Wilson is completely washed up, dude. He's done. He's completely done. It's over with. But the best game all weekend, shout out to the Miami Dolphins. I called this upset pick over the LA Chargers. Tua, I drafted Tua in the 9th round of my fantasy league, which was insane, dude. Tua dropped that late, and he balled out. The highest point scored of a quarterback this week was definitely Tua, dude. He gave me 38 points. Shout out to Tua and the Miami Dolphins. 466 yards passing with 3 tutties. Yes, he had 1 interception. That was bad. But Tyreek Hill, the fastest man in football, 215 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. This was an easy pick. A lot of people were like, oh, we're going to LA Chargers. And I was like, really? The team who lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars last year in the playoffs? The team who choked? You know, you guys invested so much in this guy, Justin Herbert. Everybody's on this cat, but at the end of the day, it's just like he's not winning games. He's 0-1 in the playoffs, and you guys invested, over 200 M's in this guy. It's a big risk, a big gamble. Let me tell you right now, I don't believe in Justin Herbert whatsoever. Yes, he's young. He still has a lot to learn, but dude, 0-1 in the playoffs, and you guys lose opening game when you guys were supposed to win. This was an easy pick. So shout to the Miami Dolphins. I got this, and I hit the over as well, 51. This was a guaranteed over. For me, it was just easy. I thought, Miami's going to put up crazy numbers. I saw this coming all offseason. Everybody said Tua's one hit away, which he is, in theory, one hit away from ending his career. But at the end of the day, so is a lot of other players. I could name a list of quarterbacks that are one hit away from ending their career, dude. That's all it takes in the NFL. They're the modern-day gladiators. So any position, you're one hit away. So I think for Tua, he had all that this offseason, all that talk, all that chirping about, Tua's not going to do it. Tua's going to get hurt. He's a vegetable. But at the end of the day, I drafted Tua in the 9th round. He won me the league this week. So that's all that matters. And Tua, I'm telling you, if Tua's going to continue to do this every single week, Tua will win the MVP this year. I know it sounds crazy. People are like, what? Tua? No freaking way. There's no way he's going to win MVP. I'm telling you what. He's got the fastest man in football. They got Skates. They got Jalen Waddle. I'm telling you, dude, Miami is legit this year. Imagine if they would have got Dalvin Cook instead of him going to the Jets. Dude, the Miami, they're going to run deep. They will make the playoffs this year absolutely 100%, whereas the LA Chargers are kind of like a 50-50 team. They really are. So shout out to the Miami Dolphins. Best game by far all weekend. Shout out to Tua, man. One time, baby. Let's go. And then we got the Philadelphia Eagles beating the New England Patriots. We saw Tom Brady's halftime speech. Look, Tom Brady's the GOAT, but, ever since the GOAT left, the Foxborough, that's it, dude. That is it. The New England Patriots are not the same. I think Coach Bill Belichick right now is kind of fumbling the ball on Mac Jones. I've never been a huge fan of Mac Jones. I never believed in Mac Jones. Yes, he had 316 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. He also had a pick 6, okay? So I think I'm looking at Mac Jones and saying, hey, if you guys keep Mac Jones, you're going to continue to miss the playoffs. Obviously the GOAT left, and they didn't make the playoffs last year with Coach Bill Belichick, and I'm looking at them saying, dude, I'm just laughing about it. Mac Jones, it's silly, it's petty. Jalen Hurts, a quiet game, 170 yards passing and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 79 yards receiving. But Philadelphia found a way to win. They covered the spread. 44.5 was the over-under. Went with the over, and it hit barely. But I'm looking at right now, Philly, yes, they got the win, and it didn't look nice, but it doesn't matter. As long as you win in the NFL in the regular season, you give your team a chance to make it to the playoffs and run deep and go to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. So that's all that matters. I'm still believing Philadelphia Eagles 100%. They squeaked out this win because of Mac Jones. He threw the pick 6. That was the difference right there. So shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. This was another easy pick that I got right finally. And then we got the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. I was way off on this pick. I will admit I went with the Chicago Bears, but hey, it sucks. It really is. Now Green Bay's won 9 times in a row against the Chicago Bears. Just straight owned them, even without Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Jordan Love, 245 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. He looked really nice. He did. And a lot of people, definitely in fantasy football, just didn't even draft Jordan Love. And I thought, man, Jordan Love's kind of like been slept on a little bit. He's behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, learning the Green Bay system for 3 years. I think he's stepping in at the perfect time. Young, he's hungry, and Green Bay has a good offensive line. So I think Green Bay's really going to be nice this year. Are they going to make the playoffs? It's going to be really close. It really is. But shout out to Jordan Love. I believe in Jordan Love right now. Whereas, before this game, I was just like, I don't know yet. But seeing him in the pocket, throwing the ball down the field, kind of like Aaron Rodgers, dude, I like him. I think Jordan Love's a great fit there, even though back then, when they drafted Jordan Love, I was like, that don't make sense to me. Aaron Rodgers is still there. Didn't make sense then, but it's starting to make sense a little bit now, years later down the road. So shout out to Green Bay. Aaron Jones, he had 41 rushing yards and a touchdown. 2 receptions, 86 yards receiving for Aaron Jones. And then Justin Fields, kind of a quiet game, 216 yards, passing a touchdown and a pick. He had 9 carries, 59 yards rushing. I just think for Chicago, man, it's been the same every year, dude, for a long time. Ever since they lost to my Indianapolis Colts in the Super Bowl, the Chicago Bears just took a big, deep dive, dude. And they just have not been good, have not been relevant. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do well this year, farewell. I just don't know. I don't know. Justin Fields is a big question mark to me, and the Chicago organization is a huge question mark as well. I just don't know about Chicago. I really don't. You know, they probably will miss the playoffs again, just the way they performed in week 1 at home, which is sad. But shout out to the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. And then we got the Rams beating the Seattle Seahawks. I was definitely a sucker. Go Seattle. I don't know why. I just thought Cooper Kupp being out and Matt Stafford coming back off an injury, I thought it made sense to go Seattle, but it was all Rams. Matt Stafford, 334 yards passing, and then Kyron Williams, 52 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Shout out to Kyron Williams out of Notre Dame, my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, which they're going to win the national championship this year. Shout out to Kyron Williams, straight balled out. And then Geno Smith, a quiet game, 112 yards passing. Kenneth Walker, who's on my fantasy squad, had a really bad game. 64 yards rushing. I thought he'd break out. You know, I still like Kenneth Walker on fantasy, even though week 1 was kind of a bad week for him. It doesn't matter. I still won the week, so that's all that matters. DK Metcalf, a touchdown, 47 yards receiving, but it was all Rams here. And Rams just went right through Seattle's defense. Seattle's defense, to me, is really weak right now. That's what I learned, and I learned do not draft the Seattle Seahawks in fantasy, because their defense, at least, because it's just terrible right now. It really is. It doesn't make sense to me. I had to drop them. I'm dropping them. So shout out to the LA Rams getting the job done. And then we got the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. Definitely my worst pick all weekend. I picked the Giants. I thought they'd upset him. I was way off. Daniel Jones is still trash. I thought I'd believe in him. I thought I'd believe in Saquon Barkley, even though I still do. He had a bad game. But they shut him out, 40-0. And what did we learn about the Dallas Cowboys offensively? Nothing. What did we learn about the Dallas Cowboys defensively? Everything. They have the best defense in the NFL. Them and the San Francisco 49ers. They are legit. And it starts with Michael Parsons. I'm telling you what, dude. And Diggs, they got so many dogs on the defensive end where it's just like, dude, Dallas is definitely a team to be scared of right now. You know, but at the end of the day, do I trust them in the playoffs? Do I trust them with Dak Prescott, you know, playing against the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs? I don't know. Probably not. Somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys will end up losing in the playoffs this year yet again. It's just some fluke stuff. I don't know how it's going to happen, but the defense is going to carry the Cowboys all season. That's what we do know. And Tony Pollard, he balled out. You know, he had 70 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. You know, CeeDee Lamb, 77 yards. Dak Prescott, really just a quiet night, 143 yards passing. Dak didn't need to do much. It was all their defense after the black kick, returned it for a touchdown. That's when you knew it's going to be Dallas. And Dallas is legit, dude. It really is. Their defense is legit. But like I said, Dak Prescott still, do you really trust in him? Why did you guys take Trey Lance and give them a pick? You know, Jerry Jones does not 100% trust Dak Prescott. That's what it is. But shout out to the Dallas Cowboys just running right through the New York Giants, and that was definitely dumb of me of picking the Giants. And then we have Monday Night Football, heartbreaking news. Aaron Rodgers goes down within like the first 3 plays. What I'm hearing is a high ankle injury. He'll probably be out at least a month. But for the New York Jet fans, you know, it was sold out. So many people were amped up. The air, you could just feel it. When Aaron Rodgers got hurt, it was one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, this cannot be happening. Is it the Hard Knocks curse? Like, what is going on in New York right now? Well, Zach Wilson is not the savior. You need Aaron Rodgers back. Yes, the Jets' defense is nice, but overall, it's just not going to be enough. It really isn't, dude. They need Aaron Rodgers back. I'm praying Aaron Rodgers comes back within a month. Because if he's out more than a month, we're talking the Jets might not even make the playoffs to have an opportunity for Aaron Rodgers to go to the Super Bowl. This is huge. This is devastating news. Bad news for the NFL. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of those old school quarterbacks, yet still playing since 2005, dude. So for me, Aaron Rodgers is just like, oh my gosh, won a Super Bowl in 2010. Hasn't been back since, dude. I think this was his year, but right now it's not looking good. The way he was in a boot, it looks like he's going to be out at least a month. This is terrible news for the Jets. You know, as where the Bills, you know, Josh Allen. My problem is with Josh Allen, even though he's on the cover of Madden, everybody loves Josh Allen. He's a hard-nosed quarterback. You know, will take hits, will not slide. I love that about him. But what I don't like about Josh Allen is how he throws the ball in double coverage, takes too many chances. It reminds me a lot of like Brett Favre. It's just like, why? Why are you throwing some of these balls here down the field where it's just like, you should not be throwing in double coverage here. You should not be throwing in triple coverage down the middle. It's just dumb. You know, ill-advised throws from Josh Allen, and I think, you know, he's got to learn that. I think if the Buffalo Bills want to get over the hump and want to win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen has to realize, hey, look, these are my weaknesses here. My weaknesses are throwing in double coverage or throwing terrible passes where I shouldn't even be doing it. Instead of just scrambling out, dumping it off to the flat. It's just Josh Allen, just that home run guy sometimes where he needs to slow down, throw it down sometimes to the check instead of just taking big risk here where you're just throwing ill-advised picks. It's just like you got the game in the bag. Why are you throwing ill-advised picks? I just don't understand. But, Josh Allen's going to do his thing. Obviously, I went Jets, but I just think I'm just so heartbroken. I really am for Aaron Rodgers. It's just like, no, I don't want to see this happening. I don't think anybody wanted to see that happening. And I think the Green Bay Packer fans are like kind of heartbroken as well. They wanted to see Aaron Rodgers succeed, even though he left Green Bay kind of in a salty way. But at the end of the day, it was just like, man, Aaron Rodgers, of all people, why is he the one getting hurt? It sucks, man. It really does. I pray for Aaron Rodgers comes back with a fast recovery. Hopefully it's just a high ankle sprain. But overall, what a time for Week 1 NFL. I mean, it was crazy. Everybody in America loves NFL football. Like I said, they're the gladiators of the sport. Definitely the best game overall was the Chargers-Miami game. Even though the Chargers were favorites this game, I love it, dude. I think Tua and Tyreek Hill are this duo right now where who's going to stop these guys? And obviously, yes, protect Tua. Tua needs to stay safe. But if Tua plays like he's doing right now, Tua's going to win NFL MVP. Mark my words. And I hope the Indianapolis Colts finally get a dub next week when they play the trash Texans. I cannot wait. NFL is back, baby. It's the Clown with Cab show.